My name is Jennifer. I'm the manager here at McDermott-Crockett Mortuary. I want to thank everyone for being here today for what I hope is the first of many events that bring our community together and honor families and people who otherwise wouldn't have anyone to honor their lives. Death and life can be seen as two sides of the same coin. When we think of the passing of a loved one, we try to remember the good memories that we've had, birthdays, holidays, shared good times and bad. However, there are those in our community who don't have anyone to remember them. Most of them are homeless, many of them veterans who have served our country in times of war and peace. The fact remains that they're no longer living among us, so we must honor their lives as we would our own lives or our own families by bringing people together and sharing the fire that we all have. So today, that is what this is about, and I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy days to be here.
Would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? Will it be the same if I saw you in heaven? I must be strong and carry on, 'cause I know I don't belong here in heaven. Would you hold my hand if I saw you in heaven? Would you help me stand if I saw you in heaven? I'll find my way through night and day, 'cause I know I just can't stay here in heaven. Beyond the door, there's peace, I'm sure, and I know there'll be no more tears in heaven.
My name is Jim Schmidt. I just want to share just briefly who I am, and I don't know why I'm here, but perhaps. I'm a 13-year retired Lutheran minister. We've lived in Santa Barbara for 35 years. When I was 55 years old, I had an itch to do something else. When I was 56 years, I was still doing what I was doing and still had the itch. So I quit, and I resigned from the congregation I was serving and went to work at Santa Barbara Cemetery as a consular representative. It was a eye-opening, broadening of life, meeting with every kind and sorts of people at a time of great crisis and need. And I learned so much more than what I ever gave to people. For the last 11 years, I've served one weekend a month as chaplain at Cottage Hospital. And that too opened your eyeballs, but also exposes you to the wonders and the challenges that are part of our world in the days of the kind of medicine we have today. And and letting go and saying goodbye at times can be a huge, huge challenge for everybody involved. So that's who I am. I've officiated both as my time at Santa Barbara Cemetery and my time as a clergy person here in Santa Barbara at about every kind of burial that I think could take place. Sometimes they were called witness burials, where the mortuary comes out to the cemetery to deliver the remains of a person. My own personal practice has been to do whatever I can to get whatever information I can off of the death certificate. And regardless of the fact that there's no one there but me and perhaps a member of a mortuary staff, I say we are not here to bury anyone or someone. We are here for a specific individual. And I read their name and place and date of birth and their name and date and place of death. I'm a Christian clergy person, and I commit their remains to their final earthly resting place, and more often than not, say out loud the words of the Lord's Prayer. I don't want to debate this with anyone. I just want you to know that I think it's important that in any day and age we acknowledge individuals and not get comfortable with whatever or whomever. Secondly, I have a personal connection to this. For 5 years, we had, after our youngest son turned 28, he decided to let go of us, and he left Santa Barbara after quitting a job, having graduated from UCSB, and we did not know where he was. For 5 years, I had 2 fears, real fears. One, getting a phone call from someone wherever asking whether or not I would prepay the postage for a box of cremated remains being sent home because a person by the name with the last name of Schmidt had given an address and found an address of North Patterson Avenue. My greater fear was not ever knowing again. There's a great ending to this story. Kirk is 43 years old, and for the last 14 years has been a part of our family. He is a fun guy. He had spent part of those 4 years, most of it, in Indonesia as a captain of a surf boat where people would come over, and apparently there are places over there where the waves are great. First thing in the morning of most days of Kirk's life, yet today, are surfing. Okay, that's who I am. That's a part of who I am. And it's a part of what makes me stand here in such admiration of people like members of mortuary staffs who deal with this, people in the community and special services who deal with the homeless or the unknown, and who do their very best to provide some sort of honor, and I know always respect for the situations out in front of them. In my time in the ministry of over 50 years, I want to say that there has been only one situation where I would have liked to punch out a mortuary staff person. It was 4 days after I was installed in the ministry in 1962. I got a phone call at 4:30 in the morning to come over to the home of a couple and their 3-month-old baby had died of SIDS. I had no clue 4 days into the ministry and 7 years of seminary training and college training what in the world I was doing and why I was there. And the guy I wanted to punch out was a mortuary staff person who was standing in the living room with his blanket, with her child wrapped inside, saying to me, "Pastor, now that you're here, I'm leaving," and out the door he went. There was something about that that obviously sticks with me today. Fortunately, people like Jennifer and Israel and Bill are bigger than me, in addition to being caring people. Okay, Jennifer pulled something off here that I find hard to believe, because I want to share a fable with you, and some of you may know this fable very well. Cottage Hospital sponsors a Circle of Remembrance in the fall each year, or maybe it is January year, part of the year, in which they invite people who have lost loved ones to a remembrance at the hospital. 3 years ago, Pam Washburn, who is the Director of Spiritual Care at Cottage Hospital, asked a nurse to share this fable, and I want to share it with you. Water bugs and dragonflies. Down below the surface of a quiet pond lived a little colony of water bugs. They were a happy colony, living far away from the sun, and for many months they were busy scurrying over the soft mud on the bottom of the pond. They did notice that every once in a while, one of their colony seemed to lose interest in going about all of this with their friends. Clinging to the stem of a pond lily, it gradually moved up out of sight and was seen no more. "Look," said one of the water bugs, "one of our colony is climbing up the lily stalk. Where do you suppose she is going?" "Up, up, up," it went slowly. Even as they watched, the water bug disappeared from sight. Its friends waited and waited, but it didn't return. One spring day, not long after, the very water bug who had suggested the plan found himself climbing up the lily stalk. Up, up, up he went, and before he knew what was happening, he had broken through the surface of the water and fallen onto a broad green lily pad above. When he awoke, he looked about with surprise. He couldn't believe what he saw. A startling change had come to his old body. His movement revealed 4 silver wings and a long tail. And even as he struggled, he felt an impulse to move his wings. and the warmth of the sun dried the moisture from the new body. He moved his wings again, and suddenly he found himself up above the water. He had become a dragonfly, swooping and dipping in great curves. He flew through the air. He felt exhilarated in this new atmosphere. And by, the new dragonfly lighted happily on a lily pad to rest. Then it was that he chanced to look below to the bottom of the pond. Why, he was right above his old friends, the water bugs. And there they were, scurrying about just as he had been doing some time before. And then the dragonfly remembered the promise. The next one of us who climbs up the lily stalk will come back and tell where he or she went and why. Without thinking, the water bug suddenly darted down. He hit the surface of the water and bounced away. Now he was a dragonfly, and he could no longer go into the water. I can't return, he said in dismay. At least I tried, but I can't keep my promise. Go back. Not one of the water bugs would know my new body. I guess I'll just have to wait until they become dragonflies too, and they will understand what happened to me and where I went. In the transition from this life to the life to come might well be like a water bug who becomes a dragonfly. Thank you.
We are honoring people who aren't claimed, nobody has come forth to say, this is my son or daughter or friend. And we get many referrals from the county public guardian's office, public administrator, and they are our county's indigent. And we are entrusted to cremate them and scatter their ashes at sea. That's their rules. If the county pays for somebody to be cremated, their remains cannot be sent back to their family, even if they can find them. So my friend Kate knows that the power of your story, of our story, is our legacy. It's what we leave for the world, that we were here, that we matter. And so many times we don't get that information. We have a name, a date of birth, a date of death. We do the paperwork and we scatter their ashes at sea. And like Jim, when we scatter their ashes, we say their name, but oftentimes it just doesn't feel like it's enough. I had the opportunity to meet one family, that is Dean. That's Dean at 20 and Dean at 40 when he died. He died September 11th, 2010, and I had the privilege of talking to his mom at length, and if I get through this story without crying, it'll be a miracle, because we cry a lot together. But I wanted for you to know Dean's story, because he changed my life, and we'd never met. But Dean was many of our county indigent cases. This story we wouldn't usually have the benefit of knowing. He was born October 23rd, 1969, when his mom was 19 years old. By her account, she married Dean's father after he raped her and she became pregnant. It was a marriage of convenience. Dean's dad was an alcoholic and had served in Vietnam. On July 4th, 1976, Dean's father shot his mother twice. He tried to shoot Dean, but he missed. Dean was 6 years old. Dean's father's family had significant means and power, and after his mother recovered, she tried to file for divorce. Her attorney told her that they wouldn't prosecute Dean's father because he made it look like he was temporarily insane, shooting himself in the jaw, and perhaps he was, who knows. Her attorney advised her to move out of the state, so they ran from New York to Michigan. Dean remembered all of this. He remembered his father attempting to murder his mother and him. He remembered leaving town. He remembered moving from place to place so his mom could keep him safe. Dean had a photographic memory. When Dean graduated from high school, he attended the Center for Creative Studies in Detroit. He was a gifted artist. Using pastels and watercolors, he loved to paint lighthouses, penguins, and other animals, but he never mastered the horse, no matter how hard he tried. He helped his local art technical school win a 10-year grant for funding when they were in jeopardy of closing down. He was in his 20s, so that picture there. Dean was a talented artist. Due to finances and Dean's inability to stay sober despite multiple attempts, he had to quit school. He worked various jobs in many places and lived on the streets and in homeless shelters, from cutting wheat in Kentucky to working in a hardware store where he saved enough money to get his own apartment and have food in the refrigerator. He still struggled with his sobriety, though. His mom had a friend in Buellton that offered to take Dean in, so she bought him a Greyhound ticket, and Dean came to California. The situation didn't work out, and that friend took him to Los Angeles. Dean walked all the way back. Dean was a hard worker and determined. Dean was a man of God. He devotedly read the Bible. He was a deacon at the church. He visited people in the hospital that no one ever visited and prayed with them. He always stood up for the underdog and for what was right. Dean was a man of God. Over the years, Dean would call his mom intermittently when someone would let him use their phone. He would tell her he loved her and that he was doing okay. He never really told her how bad things were, but she says, a mother knows. He never really got away from the memory of his dad trying to kill his mom. He never really could stay sober. Before Dean died, while he was in and out of a coma, the hospital staff put the phone next to his ear. His mom told him that she loved him and that when the Lord decided that it was time, it was okay for him to go. He died the next day. His mom says she's sure he died of a broken heart. She also says that he died like a king, clean and well cared for. Dean was a devoted son. Dean's story is anybody's story. It is all of the people that we step over as a community is somebody's son, somebody's friend, somebody's sister. And today, at least they get acknowledged. Thank you so much.
Sit and wait. Does an angel contemplate my fate? And do they know places where we go when we're gray and old? 'Cause I've been told that salvation lets their wings unfold. So when I'm lying in my bed, thoughts running through my head, and I feel that love is dead, I'm loving angels instead. Through it all, he offers me protection. I love that connection. Whether I'm right or wrong, damn what I fall, offers me protection. I know that love will break me when I come to call. He won't breathes flesh into my bones, and when love is dead, I'm loving angels instead. Through it all, your sweet protection, my love and affection, whether I'm right or wrong, down the waterfall, wherever it may take me, I know that life will break me. When I come to call, He won't forsake me. I'm loving angels instead. Through it all, your sweet protection, my love and affection, whether I'm right or wrong, down the waterfall, wherever it may lead me, I know that life will break me. Whether I'm right or wrong, He won't forsake me. I'm loving angels instead. I'm loving angels instead. I'm loving angels instead.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're here from Hill Ventura County to honor the memories of our fallen veterans. Today's ceremony will consist of the unfolding, enfolding, and presentation of our national ensign and the playing of taps. At this time, if able, please stand. You may be seated.
My name is Patty Murray, and I'm the chaplain for the Vietnam Veterans Group here in Santa Barbara. I'd like to thank Jennifer and her staff for inviting me to participate in this ceremony. Receiving that flag is humbling, and it's an honor to be a part of this. Normally that would go to the widow or the parents of a deceased veteran. We're all part of this family of Earth, and the people who we're honoring today are fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, and we're all part of their family. So I thank everyone for being here and for being chosen to receive the flag. I'd like to recite the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. O loving God, be with us as we honor the lives of those who have served our nation and are now in your care. Accept our prayers on behalf of everyone here present. May they have a place in your house. May they rest in peace, and may light perpetual shine upon them. Look with mercy upon those among us, family and friends, who are bereaved by their passing. Comfort and console them with your presence and tenderness. We ask these in your name. Amen.
Amen.
In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and the chill of the winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of sky, in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys and special celebrations we yearn to share, we remember them. When we see our nation's young marching behind our flag or hear taps played, we remember them. So as long as we live, they too shall live, for they are a part of us. And when we answer the final roll, we know that they will fulfill their duty and greet us with words of compassion and friendship and peace and love. Welcome home. Thank you.
When I'm down and all my soul's so weary, when troubles come and my heart wouldn't be, then I am still and wait here in silence till you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up.
Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Thank you. This is Price. Price is our newest member of our staff. He's been here for about a month. He did not come from this background of funeral service, but he has been invaluable. Olivia does pre-need, so making advance arrangements, mostly with our Spanish-speaking community. Kim does the same. She has been here for about 5 years. Yes. Olivia's been about almost a year. Bill is our funeral director and embalmer. He's been here for 33 years. So he's forgotten anything I've ever learned. And Israel, who's been here about the same time as me, about 10 years. And James. Israel makes arrangements with families, does services, and James does transport and anything I need him to do. And without these people right here, I could not do this job. And they are amazing. And if you need anything, we are all at your disposal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've been told that salvation lets their wings unfold. So when I'm lying in my